First of all, for those of you who are living under a rock,
Yeah, sure.
we've had huge uprisings around China, okay? And not just in Shenzhen. Well, they were in Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing, but, Tianjin and
Chengdu,
Suzhou.
Wenzhou, Hangzhou, everywhere. Urumqi, freaking Baotou, freaking Hohut.
Yeah.
Everywhere, nationwide.
But you've probably stopped hearing about them, okay? And there's a reason why you've stopped hearing about them. Well, there are a number of reasons. But the Chinese censorship organ has jumped into overdrive, okay? First, what they try to do is what they always try to do, and they try to blame it on foreign influence, okay? They've got the usual, people out there saying it's foreign influence. They've got the government saying it's foreign influence. They've got the government going out there and making all these stupid statements. But the next thing that they started to do is they obviously went into a little bit of a panic, okay? They sent police out to all of the places where, of course, they monitor everyone's phones. They monitor all the chats. So they sent massive amounts of police out to anywhere where there was going to be any kind of protest. And they were arresting people as they arrived. Didn't allow people to gather. And also doing things like turning people's QR codes red and putting people into lockdown. Right now in Beijing, I'd say 7 out of the 10 people I know, I'm giving you a percentage here, are currently in lockdown in Beijing. In Shanghai too, we've got people in lockdown. So here's the thing, if you're in lockdown, you can't get out and protest.
Yeah.
So they're abusing this whole lockdown situation, of course, once again, to help them control these uprisings and these protests. Because if you're in lockdown, it's very tough to get out. People are breaking out, people are doing all sorts of things, but it's unfortunately very difficult to fight against such a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Now, YouTube, this isn't violence, this is people getting arrested. There might be a little pushback, but no one's getting punched in the face. You do not have to age restrict this video.
No.
Don't do it again, or else I'll tell your mom. Anyway, so this is what happened. We had predictions coming out the wazoo, but something we predicted in the beginning was that this is how it's going to go down. You're going to have lots of protests.
Yes.
You're going to watch them get stamped out by police presence. You're going to have people get pulled out. Organizers and stuff will get black bagged out of the crowds, which happened.
Yep.
You'll see an influx of SWAT team police everywhere that will coerce people not to go back to the same places. They'll cordon off areas that were popular for protesting.
Well, the Urumqi Road in Shanghai is now, they took down street signs and they've actually put barricades all the way down the street. They've blocked it off so you can't even walk onto the street anymore. It's just barricades. Okay?
Yeah, like this guy, for example, this was the spirit of the protest. Guys like, I'm from Shanghai, born and raised. We don't need you. This is the real. Get out of here.
Yeah.
The cops are here to arrest people. Oh, you're not wearing a mask? Put on a mask. All this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
People have had enough. They're like, F off.
Yeah.
Right. This is our city. So there was a confidence in the air in all these places, and people were like, okay, we're protesting. But again, bring out the riot shields. You bring out the police presence, and all of a sudden they start fizzling out.
Yeah.
What the next prediction was. Not that you did see presence of tanks and stuff like that. You did see massive violence, like what's it called, reciprocation.
Especially in Guangzhou.
Yeah, especially in Guangzhou. But for the most part, what you saw was an enormous police presence, and then all of a sudden, reports from the Chinese internet, from people that were getting taken off the internet, and through people's WeChats.
Yeah.
That we started compiling. That now the police were going around and finding every single person that went to the protest in every city.
Even if you just walked past, and this is the danger of this whole zero COVID control system they have, is the way it works is it tracks your every movement and you cannot turn it off.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to explain why. We're going to show you later what's actually happening with zero COVID because it's not calming down, it's actually ramping up.
Yeah.
But everywhere you go, your phone keeps track of where you went.
Yeah.
And that's so that if you went close to somebody else who had a yellow code or who could have been in contact with someone, then it tells you and it flags you as being infected or possibly infected, and you have to go get tested again and again and all that.
Sure.
So they know where you are at all given times. It's very simple for them to just pull up a list of everybody that was in that area.
And you can see, even in these areas, walking out with protesters all cuffed up.
Yeah.
These people are effed, by the way.
Of course.
This is not like in the U.S. or something. Maybe they got a little rowdy or something. They spend the night in jail or, just get to go home.
Yeah.
Their lives are ruined.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So, like I said, people that were even near the protests, this is so, how do you say lihai in English?
Well, like Lehigh is the wrong word because Lehigh means cool or like really great.
No, Lehigh
You'll be like,
means terrible.
I guess Lehigh could also mean, it just means like intense.
Yeah, intense. Okay, so it's just so intense that the people that were in the protests or whatever have been getting visited, and they're going to their house, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to the Chinese government. Because what's going on right now is the Chinese government's facing the West, right? Not their own people. Facing the West saying, look, see, the people did protest, and they got what they want. Now we will reduce COVID restrictions, right? Mm-hmm. What they're doing is going to people's houses, checking people's phones on the subway.
This footage, by the way, is from the Shanghai metro, the Shanghai subway. And I got sent this by some people who were saying they do this on purpose, of course, because you're captive. You're in the subway. You can't go anywhere. Yeah. And they're checking people's phones to see if they have... Of course, you have to unlock your phone. You cannot refuse. See if you've got a VPN.
Yep, which is illegal.
Yeah. See if you've got any apps like Signal, Telegram, things like that. They're also checking your photos and your videos to make sure you don't have any protest photos, any protest videos. And of course, if you've got them, they arrest you. And there's nowhere you can go. No. You can't escape. You're on the metro, right?
So China's going, we allowed them to protest. See, look, and we're going to reduce COVID restrictions. Mm-hmm. What they do is they increase COVID restrictions in other places. Mm-hmm. Number two, they go through and find every last person that was there, okay? Yeah. They send out threatening messages. They had, there's the Nanjing Institute of Communication submitted a manuscript saying the counselor said that December is more sensitive. The school is always monitoring the wall, and everyone's mobile phone is being monitored in the background. So it says we can see the messages you send, and we can see the things that you would drop, meaning the things that you retract, the messages you retract. Yes, you retract messages. We can see everything you're doing. So they're trying to stop all the protests going forward. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, they have the biggest police force in the entire world going to people's doors, knocking them down and beating the shit out of them, disappearing people and arresting people. And you know why this is great for them? Like I said, they can face the West and say, look, the people spoke and we responded. We are a people's government. Yeah. What they're doing is massacring, basically having a Tiananmen 2.0 behind closed doors so no one can see it. Yeah. It's so much different. It's almost like so much more convenient for the rest of the world to see how bad things are when there's tanks mowing people over, thousands of students over in a public square. Yeah. It's much easier to kind of put that to your mind. Yes. Than having tens of thousands, if not upwards of 1 million people getting visited by the police, tortured, thrown in jail that you can't see.
Arrested, yeah.
You don't see it, right?
So just to make it very clear to everyone, after these big uprisings happened around China, the Chinese government was really kind of backed into a corner, okay? So what they did in order to quell these protests and so on is, well, first of all, they threw censorship out everywhere. They turned everyone's QR codes red so they couldn't go outside. Yeah. So they managed to really control the movement of people. But then they started to put out these kind of mixed messages about, oh, we're going to start lifting some COVID restrictions in certain areas, okay? But what they actually did was they said that, but they actually increased COVID restrictions. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, in Shanghai, you used to have to do a COVID test every 72 hours. It's changed now that you have to do it every 48 hours. Mm. In Beijing, like I said, the majority of people I know in Beijing are currently under lockdown. They weren't previously. But of course, that's one of the hotspots for the protests. So now suddenly most people are under lockdown. And what they've probably done is taken hotspots of people where they had protesters come from. And they've said, those areas, we're going to lock them down. It's like, oh, there's this old age community over there. Nobody went out. They don't need to be locked down. But these people. So they're locking everybody down. They're making it worse. They're not lifting it up. They're making it worse. Wait till you see the
scope.
Yeah, we'll show you shortly. It's crazy. So here we've got a couple of other reports coming out. It's rumored on the internet that some communities in Zhengzhou have recruited and mobilized children aged 10 to 13 to be young teenagers and volunteers to fight against the epidemic.
So they were recruiting little kids to go out there and enforce COVID regulations on people, just like the old times under Mao, the Red Guards.
Yeah, the Red Guards. An Edison provided news that colleges and universities in Beijing have begun preparations to build shelters for self-isolation. This news has received several submissions, but it cannot be verified accurately. Please check the comment section.
The thing that can be verified is that they were building these capsules in the universities.
Yeah, of course. Some relevant personnel from the Cyberspace Administration of China sent a contribution to rectify the circumvention tools in the near future and to be alert to some key dates in the future.
This is really important. So this goes through all of how people were getting protest materials out using VPNs, how to stop it in the future, how to prosecute it, how to be harsher on it, like basically how to figure out how people are getting information out there. So all these people that are saying, yeah, oh yeah, Chinese people were protesting and like it's fine, everything's cool. No, they're literally making it so it's an impenetrable wall in the future.
Yes. Oh, you know, another ridiculous thing they did, guys, which you just have to hear about, is A4 paper. You know, this has been a big part of this whole protest, is people holding up blank pieces of paper. They're not saying anything on them, but in itself shows you that they have no words. They cannot say anything. And this is really taken off. It's kind of being called the A4 paper revolution, right? So they stopped delivering A4 paper in certain cities. If you try to order A4 paper online and get it shipped to your address in Beijing, you can't. Or Shanghai, you can't.
Yeah. You
can in some other cities, and I tested this because, you know, I actually just got a friend of mine to place an order for A4 paper. They showed me, they sent me screenshots. They can get it delivered to Guangzhou, believe it or not. I don't know why Guangzhou, because that's a hotspot. Could not get delivered. It said, like, it's not possible to deliver it to Beijing or Shanghai. Because you have to have a registered address in Taobao. And they had an address in Shanghai, an address in Beijing, and they had an address in Guangzhou. They're in Guangzhou. They could send it to Guangzhou, but not the other two.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, that's kind of like Amazon, right? Taobao. You place your order and it gets delivered.
Yeah.
But you can't even buy A4 paper, which is absolutely ridiculous.
True.
This is another way that they're trying to control these protests. No more A4 paper, you can't be standing with it, right?
Yeah.
Let's just hope you don't need to print out a document or something.
Bro, you're going to come to China's defense. You're going to come to the Chinese government's defense and be like, yeah, like whatever, there's a little bit of unrest, but they know how to deal with stuff. They know how to treat their people well. They banned freaking paper, dude.
Yeah.
You're talking about a government that banned paper.
Yeah, I know.
Even North
A4
Korea
paper.
didn't ban paper.
Exactly.
Probably don't have paper,
Yeah.
but
What's this all about?
same thing. It's just translated. So
Okay.
those are all the guidelines about how to discover protest materials, discover content before it spreads, how to stop VPNs.
Yeah.
They are gearing up for the next thing, making sure that they stop it in its tracks.
Yeah,
how to find people.
Yeah.
How to trace people, to find them, to arrest them. The whole guideline.
So here we have some evidence, and this guy in his house, he refused to be locked down again, right? In
Yeah,
his
well,
community.
he openly spoke about how he thought his community shouldn't be locked down anymore.
Yeah. Okay. What happened
We
to
just
him?
call him a protester.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was protesting against the zero COVID rules.
Yeah. So you have secret police and police. Right?
Yeah. Come into
Bust
his house.
This is his living room, right?
Yeah. And he's obviously fed up. He's like, I don't want this. What are you guys doing?
He's like, why are you coming to arrest me?
Yeah. And
Do you know how they tracked him?
how?
QR code.
Of course.
The zero COVID QR codes are being used to find every single person. This is a great example of what they're doing right now across the country.
Yes.
Now,
Oh yeah, we
That's
actually.
life statement, yeah.
This is look okay. Did you put in the censor?
No,
you took it out. We took it out. Okay, we took it out. We don't want to get age restricted, but the police beat him. Okay,
Beat
they
the
actually,
shit
they
out
actually
of him.
beat him in front of his little children. He's
Yeah.
got two young children there who are like screaming, daddy,
One of them
daddy.
tries to stop the police from beating his father.
This is not a good look for China. Okay, so you don't want to like submit to the zero COVID nonsense. The police come to your house, beat you up in front of your family.
Yes.
Okay, we had to.
I mean, that's just the beginning of
Yeah.
what happens to these people.
yeah, because they get taken away afterwards.
But I just want everyone to understand this anecdote, this video is a rare glimpse of what's happening nationwide right now.
Yeah, not many people have a camera set up in their living room.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, but they do it like Hunan's full of like lots of thieves and stuff. So you have things like that set up. But anyway, I want you to take this perspective and magnify it by thousands and thousands across the country, because this is what the police are doing. And this is why it's not tanks rolling into Tiananmen Square. This is thousands of secret police going to ruin people's lives, and it's a massacre in itself. It's just
Yeah.
you can't see it.
Yeah.
It's really messed up.
So his wife put out a statement, and let's read it for you.
Which was obviously pulled off of WeChat.
Yeah,
go ahead.
almost
My voice.
immediately. Okay. Hello, neighbors. I'm the owner of XYZ. I would like to tell you about an incident that happened in our neighborhood and in my home. The night before last, because of the property owner suddenly said that he wanted to block off several exits in the neighborhood, I raised an objection in the group. I wanted the property owner to, instead of a lockdown, change it to into assigning some staff to check codes at the gates. This way is more convenient and possible for the property owner to pass in and out and it would also ensure more safety for our community. Now, when she's saying property owner, she's talking about building management, okay? Because everybody in China lives in the cities, live in apartment complexes. And so you've got like a building management, kind of like an HOA type of thing.
Yeah.
They are in charge of the comings and goings, the security guards and stuff. You own your apartment, well, you lease your apartment inside of there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so he says, it would also ensure more safety for our community. But the property owner did not reply to me in the group at that time. I thought he ignored my message, and this would be the end of the matter. However, just yesterday morning, Liao Yang, the director of the Social Security Comprehensive Management Office of the Hehua Subdivision Office in Liuyang City, Hunan Province, broke into my house with 3 policemen. My husband was alone with our 2 children and was worried about scaring them, so he wanted them to talk outside. But several of them got physical with my husband, and after forcing their way into our home, they directly accused and labeled us as making anti-government remarks. After my husband argued back, he pinned my husband to the sofa and beat him. There were 2 children in the home at that time. The child was so frightened that he cried loudly for his dad. My husband has been suffering from a headache and was uncomfortable after the beating.
Beat the shit out of him.
And the children kept crying because they were so frightened. After learning that my home has CCTV cameras, he asked us to delete the video in an attempt to cover up the whole incident. We hope that the relevant authorities will investigate and give us justice. Dear neighbors, we all live in the same neighborhood. Neighbors and friends, we live in the same community. If we are treated in such an inhumane way just because we want the property heads to change their decision, how can we guarantee our personal safety when we live here? I would like to ask the help of all our neighbors to uphold justice in this situation.
This is a great micro glimpse into how things work in China, right?
Yeah.
What do you think sparked off all these protests? Is bullshit like this. It's a heavy-handed police state that people are fighting against, but the police state is now getting massive revenge.
Yeah.
On everyone involved.
It's absolutely absurd to think that, okay, if your wife complains in a group to the HOA, and they're like saying, hey, you know, can you just get that blockade off the end of the road so that we can get the kids to school? Something like that to that effect. And you have, 4 people, government official, and 3 policemen breaking into your house and then beating you up in front of your children because of that. You see, it's a mafia thug-like situation.
It is.
This is how they control people.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening to people across the entire country. Anyone who posts any kind of dissent, any kind of dissatisfaction with the way things are going, they get visited, they get warned. They get sent off to quarantine camps, as punishment. Or taken to the police and detained and disappeared, who knows? Here's another situation. I'll get us out of here so you can read the subtitles, okay?
It's only a little bit.
Oh, you took it out? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's...
Oh, you can't read the subtitles. Okay, never mind.
Explain.
Yeah. And this is a similar situation where somebody, is in their house and they're coming in to take him out because he refuses to bow down to the zero COVID nonsense. Yep. So you've got the dabai, as we call them, coming and beating someone up in their house and dragging them out.
Police, by the way.
Yeah, it's just police.
I think a lot of people get confused and think the stormtrooper dude, this is just Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You look at all this footage, just freaking Star Wars. Anyway, you look at them, and a lot of people think, oh, it's medical staff. No, it's police. They just wear hazmat
They're just
suits.
police. And that's the thing. They wear the hazmat suits because they don't want to catch COVID from the filthy peasants.
Filthy peasants that don't want to participate.
Yeah, exactly.
In this brutal lockdown, people are starving to death.
Yeah. They also come at night to take people to quarantine camps. This is something that's been going on for a long time. Now, I want us to shift to the whole part of this lie, and it is a lie that China's easing, did you just put that over the whole thing?
Yeah, because he's...
Yeah.
It's a little brutal.
Yeah, okay. This is another situation where they're going into someone's house to drag them out, okay? Let's take a look. This is because he refuses to abide by the zero COVID restrictions again. Yeah. All right? And of course, we've had to censor this so we don't get age-restricted, guys. We apologize for that, but, better the devil you know. Anyway... While that goes on, I guess, I'll turn the volume down. You don't need to hear it. The guy is literally just in his house, he's watching TV, and they come in there and they're like, no, you're going to a quarantine camp now, He's like, why, you know? It's such a stupid situation, this, okay?
Yeah.
But the reason why we're showing you this, and the reason why we're going to show you something else in a minute, which might just blow your mind, is the fact that the Chinese government is once again just lying. You see, they're really like beating him and dragging him out there because, hey, you know, you have to go to your quarantine camp. There is no freedom here. You know, you've got no choice. The Chinese government is coming up with this bullshit about, you know, relaxing some of the COVID restrictions. Now, remember, they let that rumor spread when the stock market was doing so bad.
Yeah.
And they got like a 450 billion rally or whatever it was. Like all these greedy piece of shit investors who are like, yes, they say they're going to relax zero COVID. Let's jump in and grab it. You know,
Can people just stop?
Yeah. I mean, you do realize
investment wankers.
You do realize that you've just given 450 billion or whatever it is to this government that's doing this to the people.
Right.
You funded this, you know.
They love it though.
Because you're a greedy piece of shit that thinks
Yeah.
you're going to get some return on your investment. You know.
Oh, it's good to invest in China again. They're going to open up again.
Yeah, it's that
And
kind
then
of
it turns
nonsense.
out it gets worse, right? And this
Yeah.
keeps happening. This rumor keeps happening. This time, the propaganda is aimed at Westerners because they want people to say, "Oh, you know what? The people were dissatisfied with zero COVID, and we let them have their way." That's the idea right now.
Yeah.
Right. And what, dude? Media is running with this.
Yeah.
How many headlines you read this morning that said China is easing some of its zero COVID regulations?
Yeah.
Oh, wait till you see this.
I like what this guy said to them. He said, "Your evilness is beyond imagination."
Yes.
Because they were beating him in the head and stuff, you know, because he refused to squat down on the floor. They're treating him just like a criminal.